Live from a quaint British village, it's Malignant Bear, featuring me, JD Grosspence. Hello everyone, and welcome to the stream. Tonight we are power washing. Of course. It's been 2.5, almost 3 months since our last anything. Makes sense. Graduated and all. But it had to be something special to come back to, and of course, Powerwash would be it. I'm checking out the Wallace and Gromit DLC for Powerwash. Big fan of these movies, as are several other members of the band and other people, their friends and family and such, so wanted to definitely check this one out. I was very excited when they announced it and figured this would be the perfect thing to do a stream of. Took me a little bit to remember all of the settings and get all this working. Hopefully this is working. We will find out, I suppose, later on. But yeah, hopefully this is acceptable. We'll see. Since the last time we streamed, lots to talk about. The big one, though, that would make this odd would be I completely redid my audio setup. So I have no idea how that might impact this. Find out. It seemed fine in the little test recordings I did, but anyway, yeah, Powerwash Simulator. Always a good time. As always, we will have some background music going. I will talk while I play, and hopefully it'll be good. So, let's get everything set up. Of course, I picked one of the most complicated things to come back to get set up with. So here's hoping it works. So Wallace and Gromit. These were the stop-motion claymation shorts. Started in the, early 90s, I believe, and are still going. Pretty well-known. I think the most recent one was like a full-length movie. They've grown beyond just like the little 20-30 minute shorts and are now their own thing. Pretty neat. So I figured it would be cool to see what that looks like in Powerwash. So let's check it out, yeah? Talk about dodgy breakfast, Gromit. The contraptions have caught a nasty virus and auto chefs had a serious malfunction. There's eggs and whatnot all over the place. Still, no point crying over spilt milk. It's the perfect opportunity to test my latest inventions. Wash lads in position, standing by for instructions, and our chit-chat-o-matics booted up and ready for relay. Time to get to power washing. Suds away. Alright. I have not played this since the last time we streamed it, so... And that was... 6 months ago. Let's see if I remember anything. Okay, yeah, I do. Alright, so we are in... What is it? It's tab, yeah, tab. What does Z do? I hit Z for some reason, because I thought that might have been a thing, and it's not. Scope it out here. Kitchen. Turn on. We can turn the drain on. Oh, neat. Okay. Very cool. Boy, I have played plenty of other games, though, since the last time we streamed. Oddly enough. Start at the top, work your way down. Say, wash lads, quick off the blocks. You gotta be. Some instructions, or who knows what happened. I think I fell down and hit the train. In hindsight, turning it on might have been a mistake, because now it's just going to be kind of in our way the entire time. Yeah, well. Worth it. Some flavor. Wallace is the human, Gromit is the dog, of course. Wallace, big inventor, but very absent-minded and goofy. Stuck on all sorts of things, aren't I? I don't know if this will be a return to regular streaming. Probably not. Honestly, if it wasn't this, might not have. We left the door open to come back, but and I did miss it a little bit, but at the same time, it's I have a bit more free time now than I used to. And honestly, that ending was kind of ended that perfectly, didn't we? All the artistic games of December building up to Journey. Our first and only no commentary playthrough. Something. It's interesting looking back and seeing some of the things we did, what got views, what didn't. Sometimes it would be seemingly random. The one that really got me was it out of all the games we streamed in December, the one that got the most views was... Oh, come on, JD, you just looked at this. It was 7 Days to End With You. That got a ton of views for some reason. I have no idea why. Just naked in the dark in that game. Looking a little further back, like, we did Pseudo Regalia a while ago, and it was 2 parts, and the first part only got like 10 views, and the second part got like 200. I have no idea why. Absolutely fantastic game. Plenty of other fantastic games, though. Right now, everybody's talking about Monster Hunter, which I have not played because I heard it's horribly unoptimized. I'm just not crazy about Monster Hunter. Wash Led showing a clean pair of heels, eh, Gromit? Oh, I guess the emojis are Gromit. Okay, that makes sense. Just drain. Let's actually stay up here so we can get the top of the crown molding. Tad worried every corner will be covered though. Adjusting a teensy tweak. Completely clean everything in kitchen and dining room. Okay. Yes. But yeah, Monster Hunter is the big thing right now. Monster Hunter Wilds. And it is horribly unoptimized on PC. And I've tried several times in the past to get into Monster Hunter. It's not... I don't know if it was me at the time, or it's just not for me, or what. I kind of want to play Rise first, before I jump into that one. But yeah, so we're not going to play that or talk about it anymore, beyond the fact that I'm aware of it. What else, though? I'm trying to think. Spent a lot of time just kind of cleaning out the backlog, things that we had started on stream, hadn't gotten a chance to finish. So many, in fact, that I forgot. Some of them just kind of ripped through. It was like, alright, just sit down after work and just get this squared away. So think about what we streamed before and then didn't finish, and assume that all of them are now finished. As far as new stuff, years and years ago, around the time when these movies first came out, there was a series of games called Dungeon Keeper. Pretty cool games. You manage little dungeons, management sim aspects, strategy stuff. Very cool. Unfortunately, EA owns the rights and has neglected them. There's been a whole bunch of other games, though, that have sort of capitalized on that and tried to do their own version of it. I played a few of those a while back. And it's good to see that the genre is still alive. I thought that was fun. The biggest one was a War for the Overworld, I believe it was like the closest to good old Dungeon Keeper. Although it lacked a lot of the kind of charm. The games were very campy and goofy, and they knew they were, and War for the Overworld kind of lost that a little bit. Whereas the actual Dungeons series, the first one was terrible, but 2 and 3, and I haven't played 4 yet, figured out what they were doing and nailed it. And those are very good homages, unofficial sequels to old Dungeon Keeper. It's lots of fun with those. I remember I mentioned a long time ago that I was interested in RimWorld, and then just never talked about it again. I ended up getting it in not this most recent winter sale, but actually the one before that, and tried to play it and just sort of bounced off it. And I started playing it again lately and finally started enjoying it because I accepted it for what it is, which is, I wanted it to have an objective before, and it just doesn't. It's just Sims. It's just the Sims in space, and it's great once you realize that's it. Your objective is whatever you set it to be, and you just enjoy the wacky stuff that happens along the way to that. And if you get there, great. If not, something cool probably happened. It's a very good kind of play while you're doing something else game, like, you know, watching something or listening to a podcast or music or whatever. I had, like, to put it in perspective, I, don't have an objective right now in the game. Just sort of, my colonists are doing whatever. And at one point, I got the message of like, oh, a transport pod has crashed. You gotta rescue the survivors. And so I go to rescue the survivors, and one of them turns out to be somehow the daughter of one of my other colonists. Except said colonist is like 30, and the daughter was like 75. So that it didn't quite make any sense. But anyway, said daughter, because she was old, had a lot of health problems. She's old and had clearly had a rough life. She had lots of health problems. And so she kept having, little health issues, flare-ups of things and all that. Thankfully, her mother was skilled in medicine, so that helped. But at one point, one of my other colonists had a dog, and the dog was attacked by, what was it, like a mad guinea pig or something? Like some random animal went rabid and tried to attack the dog. And the 70-year-old daughter happened to be the closest person, and it went to help the dog, and in doing so, had a heart attack and died. And the mother was then very sad that her twice her age daughter had passed away, but everybody else was fine with it, because the daughter was also very ugly, and that is a negative for social score in the game. And so the other colonists were like, oh, thank goodness, she's gone. And even the mother, very shortly, like, only a day in game, so like, 15, 20 minutes, was like, oh, okay, we're good. So now I'm a little more discerning of when I get new colonists. I have to make sure they're not old, because they can have heart attacks then and die. And then that's a big deal. One of my other colonists refuses to clean. Just like, they just won't. They just won't clean. Even if there's literally nothing else to do, they're just like, no, I'm not about that. But they also have a very sensitive stomach. And so the kitchen gets dirty, and then they'll go and cook for themselves and get food poisoning and be like, oh, who did this? And it's great. It's not at all frustrating. But that's RimWorld, and I'm glad that it finally clicked with me, because it's just stupid and fun. I don't have any of the DLC, but I might get one or two of them in the next sale. I've heard biotech is like the essential one. That it sort of smooths out some of the issues in terms of like having weird old kids, and makes relationships actually possible, and fleshes out sort of the like health and everything. Downside is the game never goes on sale. So, what else? Full titles did I play? I had an inkling for a game where I could just turn my brain off. So I played Warriors Orichi 3. Played the demo for the new Dynasty Warriors, and it was very good. But I wanted way more characters than just the one. I don't know what they were thinking of. You're just some generic, you know, Mushu OC, instead of like, oh, here's all the dozens of other characters that these games have always had and been known for. I don't know what they were thinking with that. But so I played Warriors Irichi, and it's the weird crossover game that came out, I think, initially on the PS3, and it still looks and feels that way. But it was a lot of fun to go back and revisit that. Played it years and years ago when it first came out. Played the Ultimate Super Deluxe Special Whatever Edition, which doesn't mean a whole lot because they didn't really do a lot with it. But again, still a lot of fun. I like those games, and I hope that the success of Origins gets them to implement some of the way better combat features and modernizations, but also allows for the all of the cast of characters, because that's, again, the whole point. I don't just want to play one generic Mushu twink. Let me pick which my favorite. There's tons of them. I'm hoping that, what is it, Warriors Irichi 4 will go on sale, though, because I want to try that one. It's the newer one. Is the train clean? The train looks pretty clean. Right ho, Gromit, I've got another crack the wash lad's commands. What do you reckon? Completely clean everything in kitchen and dining room, but don't strip the wallpaper or move things about. It's fair enough. It's a pretty reasonable demand for this. Should have written down things I wanted to talk about. A little rusty, it's been a while. I did the thing. Not that thing, this one. I immediately then switched the nozzle again. I'm trying to think what else. Played Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. Tainted Grail is it's a board game series, Polish, I believe, and it's like a really like dark fantasy take on just King Arthur, basically, like super dark. And there's been a few indie games then based on that property, and the first one was like a card battler RPG kind of thing. Like a roguelike with card game elements or whatever, which I wasn't super interested in, but they made a game that's... The sequel is in early access, and it's... I picked it up in the winter sale and played it and enjoyed it. And it feels like kind of a Eurojank Oblivion, like sort of that level of refinement if you're looking at Elder Scrolls. But it's a really interesting setting and it's well done, so... I believe it's exiting early access later this year, so I'm looking forward to that. I played enough to know that I wanted to wait until it's done, if that makes any sense. I picked up a few other games in the winter sale, and I still have not played them. I did get on that, apparently. It'll happen. Again, without having like set things that I'm like trying to stream for or guidelines or anything like that, I've been more willing to go back and like revisit old things, or you know, play stuff like RimRoll where it's like, oh, there's no objective, but this also isn't you know, it's not clearing out my backlog, so, and that's fine, of just like having fun. I don't feel like I'm getting behind in things. Still playing the MiHoYo games. I believe I mentioned this in the yearly recap review thing. Let's just think it's out here. Let's. Oh, nope. Turn it off. Turn it off. Okay. Let's quit driving me crazy then. And Genshin, Natlan was fine, and it continues to be fine. I was hoping for more. It's not bad, but it feels like an entire filler just region, and that's not good. I'm curious to see where they go from here, though. At this point, I'm committed to just seeing through the main story. Like, once we get to Snezhnaya and our sibling, the twin, I think that'll be what I call it, because yeah, it's just, again, it's not bad, but you can tell that they're kind of losing some steam and that the update pace is catching up to them. Likewise with Star Rail, Amphorius is acceptable. That's the game I'm most likely to drop, I think. The power creep in it's becoming a little untenable. The story's not as interesting as Patagonia. And again, I think just the pace of content is really hurting them. They're pushing stuff out just to have it every 6 weeks, and I feel like it's just going to make them drag out the story, which is especially damning considering the story this time is just Greek mythology, so you know what's going to happen in it anyways if you're even remotely aware of Greek mythology. Spoilers, it's not good. Zenless Zone Zero, though, is quite good. It has a rough start because it seems reluctant to let you know what it is. Oh, I forgot to start at the top, I'll work my way down. But once you figure that out and you really get into it, it's a lot of fun, and they keep adding more fun things to it, and are very receptive to change from the community, which is good. Although it hurts their other games more then, because it's like, oh, you can listen to what the community is saying, and some of these changes are good and necessary, and you could make them quickly. And especially with like quality of life stuff, that it's disheartening to see ZZZ get immediately, and Genshin hasn't after like 5 years now. Got it, Gromit. Please return our kitchen and dining room to home sweet home status. Are we the power washer, or are we one of Wallace's inventions? Because sometimes we're not us in these DLCs. Like, we're not the guy from Muckingham. Forgot to stretch my wrist before this. Oof. What else? Played a ton of demos in the Next Fest. The best one by far was Promise Detective Agency, or Promise Mascot Agency rather. It feels like a long-lost Dreamcast game, both in terms of just wackiness, aesthetics, sound design, content, everything, in the best way. The concept of it is that you're a Yakuza agent, former, who is now managing a mascot agency in a small dying town in like late 80s, early 90s Japan, with the caveat that the mascots are not just people in suits, but they're like real living things. So if you're not familiar, Japan has a really big mascot culture. Like every business, individual towns, regions, whatever, all have mascots. And some of them are very weird. They're not, you know, like sports mascots are in the States, for example. Some of them are like just concepts or demons or like body parts or food, or, you know, they're not animals or things like you might find in the States. And in the game, all of them are real things. So like your first mascot isn't a person that looks like a giant pinky toe. They just are a giant pinky toe. And the game just leans into it, and it's so very fun and weird. And all you do is just drive around in a little Japanese truck in this town and like collect things, and then send off your mascots to management tasks, like a little management sim kind of game. And it's perfect. It works. It seems like it's going to be a short, like, you know, 15, maybe 20 hour game with a concise open world that you can get familiar with. And it knows that it's dumb and fun, and that's what I like. I want more games like that. That one was very good. Mecha Break, I'm not sure if I liked or not. Like, I did like it, but Mecha Break is by the same devs as Snowbreak, sorry, which is a third-person waifu battler gacha game. I played for a little bit because I was curious about it, and Snowbreak was fine. Just nothing super interesting, but they made a multiplayer shooter that's just a Gundam game, and the actual like multiplayer shooter aspects, like the actual mech controls, are phenomenal. The customization and the actual battle elements and everything, it's the Gundam game I've always wanted, with the downside of their mobile devs, and it's like some of the worst mobile game UI and other crap built around it. And that's a huge mark against it in terms of like, you built something good, but I have to get through all this other crap to enjoy it. So I don't know about that one. There's another game I played, what was it, like Metro Magic or something like that. I feel bad I'm forgetting the title. It looked a lot like Pseudo Regalia in terms of that like PS1 era 3D, but it was a platformer that like MC Escher would have designed, in terms of you at every moment could completely control gravity and direction and everything, which made for some really cool platforming level design. But it was also I think the first and only game I've ever played outside of VR that made me motion sick, because it's too much. Very cool though, like they nailed the concept, but overwhelming. What else? I also like Cauldron. It's like a JRPG, but it had some like idle game elements built into it in terms of the progression and all that. It was just very cute and fun. It seemed like it had just enough depth to be addicting, but wasn't so large that you would like lose yourself in it. And I like that. Finally played the demo for Tempest Rising as well. It's the Command & Conquer clone made by a bunch of the devs from Old Westwood. And it was also fine. Gameplay-wise, it was very good. Very much felt like what Command & Conquer should. tone-wise, though, I don't think that they quite got it. I don't know if they were trying something else or something wasn't done or what, but like the AI or the voice acting felt kind of AI, which I'm absolutely not a fan of. But just tonally, it felt like they were trying to play it serious and they shouldn't. Like it wasn't done seriously enough to be played seriously, but also wasn't done cheesy enough to be cheesy. Like they had to pick a lane and just didn't, and I think that hurts it. Like the old Command and Conquer games, especially Red Alert, are very over the top, cheesy, and fun, and they know they are. They're just schlock. And this wasn't that. It was like sort of attempting it, but they need to commit and either do that all the way or not at all. Dining room reading table. Okay. Chairs. Yeah. Jam ballista body. And there's it in. Kitchen door handles. Must be the other one then. Kitchen window sill, I guess. This? Okay. Jam ballista body. Ah. I assume this? It's like a jam ballista if I've ever seen one. Okay, yeah, we look like some kind of little invention. We're not a person. I was gonna say our perspective seemed a little weird. Smashing job. Wash lads, done us proud, Gromit. Phew, with all that cleaning and feeling a tad peckish. It's about Auto Chef fix this little snack, eh? Something about this contraption. Can't recall what it was. Not to worry, turning Auto Chef on. Paul hitting furry forehead. Okay. To the outside of the house. Where's Washlad got to? Virus has scuppered our shop with 13 ensocomatic contraptions. Our front yard's a nightmare state. Oh boy. Whole houses. I played a bunch of other demos though, but those were the big ones that kind of stuck out to me. My biggest takeaway though is I'm glad that there was, like they're pretty much all indie games, and I'm glad that there's a lot of innovation and interesting stuff in the indie games, and that the devs are, you know, putting out demos and they want people to try them. Contraption of ours, Gromit. Make sure Washlad's on the right track. Please give the garden washables in front house of our gardening a good buffering. That should do, eh? Okay. Outside of that, I've been playing some Marvel Rivals, which is surprising to me. I'm kind of tired of Marvel stuff and hero shooters, but it's very competent and enjoyable. that's pretty much all there is to say about that. I hope they don't ruin it with monetization. It is netties after all. And I am a little concerned with the fact that, like, an American dev made the game, finished it, and then NetEase fired them all. So, like, they have, you know, everything built, and now it's just going to be horrible monetization. So I think I'll be done with that after this season. But I wanted to unlock Vampire Hunter Wolverine in the Battle Pass. Because who doesn't want that? I don't even play Wolverine, but just, you know, just in case. You never know. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think they did a good job with it. What else? What else? I'm trying to think what other demos I played. There were so many of them. That's why I'm forgetting. It was just an overwhelming amount. What in the world is that? Oh, the Soccer-matic. Soccer. Football machine. Soccer-matic's clogged with cheese. I feel like I should have a, oh, I was gonna say, there should for sure be a ladder. How did the Wensleydale get in there? Gotta have that Wensleydale. Get up there. Seems like it needs the scaffolding, but I don't have it. Odd. There's something else major that I played and finished. Excited for Rise of the Ronin. It's getting a PC release here in a couple of days. I'm looking forward to that for a while. It's the Team Ninja open world RPG. Apparently it's a lot of the same kind of combat mechanics from Neo, but without some of the fantasy elements. So see how it goes. The spring sale also starts, I believe, next week. So on Steam. Excited for the Switch 2. Can't remember when that was officially finally announced. But Nintendo teased it, and then they're having a press conference. And it's either this month or April. I think I might pick one of those up on launch if I can. Fight people online. Speaking of fighting people online, all of the new GPU launches. Oh, NVIDIA. So many problems with the 5000s. And even when they don't have problems, they're just very underwhelming. They've gotten incredibly complacent with having the market lead. Although, of course, all those parts are going to be even more expensive probably before too long. For some odd reason. At least for those in the States. Although, of course, I'm sure other countries will be happy to, retailers in other countries rather, will be happy to raise those prices as well. Who doesn't love a bit of profit? Get everything up here. Boop. Sure hope so. It's neat seeing all the little things though from the Wallace and Gromit movies. In the last level there was of course all the little breakfast gadgets and things, little trapdoor that Wallace comes down in the mornings. Out here we have the Sock-O-Matic and just the house in general, the mechanical dog. Gromit's doghouse. Go see those here in a second. But yeah, it's been nice not streaming. Again, just kind of being able to take my own pace at some things, and also the ability to not play certain things. There might have been obvious, but there was more than a few times where I started up a game for a theme, or because I'd gotten it in a Humble Bundle or something, and realized pretty quickly on that I just wasn't vibing with it. It wasn't for me. And sometimes it was me. Sometimes it was because it was a bad game. But there was a lot of times where it's like, okay, I still need to make X amount of content, or, I'm committed to this bit, so I have to keep playing this. Whereas now I have the more freedom to this, after 20 minutes, this, it's obvious this isn't for me. I can just stop. And it doesn't impact anything. And yeah, I could have done that before, but sometimes it's like, oh, I've said about I want to stream this, or this is part of this theme or whatever, and then if you realize oh, this game's not good, or I'm just not interested in it, you're still committed to it. So being able to about is good. Grand idea of yours giving Washlet a pair of pants or pins. Pair of pins? Spraying the step will make quick work of your filthy kennel roof. I believe in one of the movies we see that Gromit has just as many sort of wacky things in his kennel as Wallace does in the house. I was hoping that would mean I had bigger ups, but I do not. Standard. Still, clean from the top down, always. But yeah, some of the demos in the Next Fest, for example, had I been streaming, I would have streamed them. But some of them, it was oh, I knew immediately, this, either this isn't for me, or I don't think this game is good at all, or clearly not ready, and just stopped. There was a couple demos that I only got 10 minutes out of because I just knew, Whereas had I been streaming all that for content, I might have tried to push them. Or you would have had the awkward transitions of oh, let me swap everything over and blah blah blah, and when it's just me, and that's kind of nice. That said, I do have some games queued up and ready to potentially stream. We'll see. See how this does at the end and how I feel about potentially coming back. Again, certainly not as a full-time thing, but once or twice a month of like, oh, here's a really interesting indie game that has, you know, a cool theme or ideas or something. Show that off. There's a couple from some recent Humble Bundles that I think would be ideal for that. Although maybe not this current one. This current Humble Bundle is pretty weak. The two games that I would be most interested in are both EA keys, and I don't feel like messing around with EA's terrible app. One of the games is Pacific Drive, which was good. We streamed it. I don't know if I finished it on stream. I can't remember. I did finish it, though. But that's the highlight game this month in Humble Bundle, and it's, again, one we already did. So. And one of them's Homeworld 3, which is apparently terrible. I'm not shocked. I don't think it's any of the original devs anymore. Shame. Homeworld 1 and 2 are phenomenal. I guess they're RTS games. They're pretty much RTS games. It's wild seeing more other big name VTubers graduating. Some permanent, some switching personas. But again, the big push, the big boon in this was the pandemic, and then now that that was over, I think it was always going to kind of gradually wind down. But it's been interesting seeing so many of the big names take part in that as well. Bound to happen. Still sad. Especially the ones that completely disappear, you know. Again, some have graduated to other personas because they were tired of corporate stuff, and that makes sense. But others just all gone. But given that we sort of did that, I get it. What a fine set of nozzles, Gromit. Bit like cricketers, eh? What? How is this like that at all? Okay, so yeah, Gromit is also confused. Yellow's your medium bowler, nothing fancy, puts a solid over. I guess. He's talking about the different nozzles that we can use. So yeah, maybe. Might be onto something. Downside of using the ladders is then you have ladders in the way. Okay. They have the little motorcycle with the sidecar. I believe the door is so that if Gromit takes out just the sidecar bit. I seem to recall him being just the better driver. In addition to better inventor. Much more observant and everything else too. Who lets their trash can get this filthy, honestly? Oh, the shopper thing. That's right. That's right. I remember this now. You've hit a sticky wicket, comes on red for some googly pace. How's that? Sound detected snoring. Yeah, cricket's a sport I just don't quite get. It's like even more boring baseball, so, well, against all odds. Although even baseball, they've been trying as of late to speed it up and reform it. I don't know if that's been successful at all. Stubby gun. We're gonna take space here. There's the picture. Very tight space in here. Look cool, you get to go inside it though. They continue to do a very good job with these. Whereas I continue to see other just dime a dozen crappy asset flip simulator games. I'm glad that this ended up being like a real one and attention and love was put into it. It's such a simple concept, but it works so well. Come on, okay, here we go. Did I get everything? Seems like maybe. Gonna call that a win? It's over here. Didn't get the bowl. Some part of Preston was not done. I believe it is now. the other side of the pond. I guess it makes sense it wouldn't be real water, because then you couldn't do the flip thing there. Well, then it's just kind of depressing that it's not a real pond, which is rather the drive. Short extension here. So far, so good. Actually, almost done with this level. Don't know how many are in this. So. Another thing that I've done is clean up my Steam wishlist and just library, better organization, and filtering out of things that, even if I, you know, thought they were cool at one point or was interested in, I'm not going to get around to, or whatever. Make the backlog a little more feasible to potentially finish. I still never will, but there's at least a chance. I'm more focused in my efforts now. That said, my wish list is still embarrassingly large. I make liberal use of the discovery queue during sales and events, and like, oh yeah, that looks kind of neat, I'll toss it in there. So I went through and pared down my wish list by quite a bit of like, that looked neat, but then when it came out it was terrible, or oh, this was a multiplayer game and I didn't realize that and it's already dead, or the dev abandoned this, or you know, so on and so forth. The plan is to win the lottery, right? Retire, drop off the face of the earth, game for like 12 hours a day, and then maybe I will be able to finish it all. No, it's never gonna happen. And again, that's part of the thing of not streaming. Of I can boot up a game and be like, oh, I thought this was gonna be cool, and it's not. On to the next thing. As opposed to dedicating an entire evening to it. Or perhaps longer. When you're young, and especially when I was young, because there was a lot less games and all that, you'd be more willing to put up with a bad one, because that might be the only one you get for a while, or there just was a lot less of them in general. But now it's, you know, the cup runneth over. So I can be much more discerning, and that is a good thing. Oh, Path of Exile, that was a big one. Played Path of Exile too. It's a lot like Path of Exile 1. And even has some of those same problems where just at a certain point I was like, okay, this is cool. I feel like I've seen it, you know. Just kind of stop. I'll come back to it when it's done, but I don't think I'm going to play the season chase or anything. Like I said, even with Marvel Rivals, as much as I'm enjoying it, I think I'm just going to do this one season and then be done. Maybe keep it installed in case the band wants to play or something, but... Which reminds me, the band is doing well. They're all still around. Still chat, still plan things. they were roasting me, and rightly so, for stopping streaming and then redoing my audio setup. It's like, well, yeah, because it would have been a proper pain to get it set up again for streaming, and it was. It was. And there's still more things that I can change. Maybe I will. Stuff goes on sale. Ooh, this thing's filthy underneath it. Okay. I bet most, if not all, of our last percent is here. Yeah, it's just a lot of little things in it. All individually labeled. See anything else popping up? Never mind. Spoke too soon. What else? Let's see. Start from the top, work our way down. Garage wall. What? Ah. Garden and bird bath. Oh, I forgot to get the top of it. Nope. These planar frames. Oh, I forgot to get the back down. Yep. Come on. Okay. What else? What else? What else? What else? Kennel light cord. No roof. Preston's front legs. And more of the mud flaps in the Sock-O-Matic. Really? Ah, yeah. That'll do it. Okay. Assume it means the upper roof. The ceiling. Yeah. Oh, I bet it's probably, what, under the eaves here? Yeah. Always forget it. Let's get a drink while we watch this. I remember how to mute. Smashing job from our watch lad, eh, Gromit? Shopper 13's as good as new. Be a good dog and send him out to replenish our cheese supplies, eh? Meanwhile, scoop up Sock-O-Matic for some keepy-uppies. On me, Ed, lad. The Nidomatic. Or Nidomatic's right tangle. There's not a moment to lose, Gromit. Deploy watch lad in the basement. Oh boy. This is the giant level that I'm going to lose steam on. Start at the top, work our way down. Spruce up basement. Give Ninomatic a makeover. This is a big level. You can already tell there's going to be a lot of little intricacies with the Ninomatic. Start here, get this stuff clean, so that there's not one wall just blasting us with dirt, and then we'll look at the Ninomatic. But yeah, Wallace and Gromit is one of those interesting properties in that there was a couple of them in the 90s and then like nothing for a while. And now I think there's been 2 or 3 in the past couple years. I don't know if it was like a rights thing, like the time or funding or what, but I'm glad to see them come back. Certainly not a property that I thought would be in this. Still very zen. I was very happy, speaking of zen, was it Tiny Glade? We streamed that for a very, very brief period of time. But one of my complaints with it was like, oh, I wish you had more control over the little objects, little doodads that you could place. And it got a big update. What was it? Probably around the new year. And that was what was in it. Was just the ability to place and reshape doodads. It's like, oh cool, the devs listened. And maybe they actually did, who knows? That was one of the odd streams that just for some reason got a lot of views. No idea why. I was not even creative in it at all, compared to some of the stuff you can make in that game. Seriously though, check out some of the community creations in that. They are wacky. So much stuff here. And they match the style though of it, of the stop motion, the claymation very well. I think it kind of naturally fits in this world. They've done a very good job in terms of what they've picked to have as the collaborations and the DLCs. They've all ended up fitting. Even Warhammer, oddly enough, that was... For again, how just sort of comfy and cute this game is. They worked with this graphical engine and everything. It didn't feel odd or out of place. That's another thing I'm waiting for it to go on sale. That's the other thing about not streaming, is that I'm not being like, oh, I gotta get, you know, new game immediately to stream it. So I can wait and get Space Marine 2 when it gets cheaper. Not that I didn't want to support the devs or anything, but just I have so much other stuff to play. We cleaned a lot and it was not anything. Oh my god. The techno trousers. Withering whites. Can I turn this on? I had an option for something there. Oh, I can't turn it on when I'm in there. They knew. Shame. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what else they'll make with this. But yeah, this is the thing where you put the sheep in and it automatically shears them and washes the wool and everything. It's a neat idea. Only slightly horrifying. Only mostly horrifying. If you stop to think about it, like, at all. Rosebud. I don't think they can do a Citizen Kane DLC. That would be pretty much the only thing you'd watch, would be the sled. So we've done it. We've gotten it out of the way. Well done. See what's on these. Full schematics for the Ninomatic. Yep. Or no, so it washes the sheep first, dries them, then puts them through the auto shaver, then spins the wool out, and then you get this stuff at the end. Oof, the satisfying dings when you get a bunch of little things all at once. It's still fun. Interesting that this was the third level. Usually in these DLCs there's like 4 or 5, and one of the middle ones is just a vehicle. And they could have done, you know, the motorcycle. Top work, Wash Lab. That dirt is dust. Gonna grind down here, ain't it, Gromit? It's a little interesting that we're one of Wallace's inventions. Wonder if it'll get a nod in one of the movies. Maybe it already has, who knows? Like I said, I haven't seen the newest one. I'm very behind on movies. I did not recognize like any of the Oscar winners this year. Just had no idea. Like I knew who the actors were and all that, but like the movies themselves, like, sure, why not? I'm sure they were good, though. They must have been to win awards, right? Those are always merit-based. Okay. You're cleaning a lot, but it's not doing a lot, that's for sure. Jeez. The bulletproof vest. Nice, nice. Big mechanical vest that just punches people. I've not seen the wrong trousers though. They just haven't been around. Unless they might be in that box over there. I wonder if the penguin was creeping on us from a window or something at some point. Also, this is a massive basement for like a countryside British home. If they had a cellar at all, it'd be much smaller than this. Oh boy. There's just so much stuff in this level. I should have had a list of topics prepared. I know there's things that I'm forgetting to talk about. Oh well. Must not have been that important then. I had played a whole bunch of games and I had them in my mind and lost them as soon as we started. There's some good ones in there too. Or maybe not if I forgot them. Must not have been that good. Saw that Blizzard is abandoning doing yearly expansions for Diablo 4 already. I am not shocked. I was whelmed by Vessel of Hatred or whatever it was. I don't dislike Diablo 4, but I don't think that they know what they're doing with it. It's in a much better state than it was at launch, but it's still not quite what I would want. I seem to recall ranting on this subject before, but just the myriad of endgame modes, and all of them competing for your time and attention. Is there stuff in there? Are you kidding me? Neverwinter Nights got a new expansion. That game is 20 years old now, I believe. I think it came out the same year as WoW, so yeah, it's 20 years old now, and it got a new expansion, which is great. But not what I was expecting. Also devastating to consider that that was 20 years ago. Oh my god. That hurts. Saw the year on a favorite album the other day and it was depressing. Like, oh, haven't heard this in a while, this is great. And then it, popped up of the information, the album information. It's like, oh. This is old enough to drive. Check Wash Lad soap supply, Gromit. Can't have a running out suds denly. It mislaid me favorite spanner. Keep an eye out, there's a good dog. How do you let your things get this dirty, dude? Come on. Unforgivable. wrap it up pretty soon. Again, just wanted to come back, show this off, chat a bit, confirm that I and the band are alive and we are doing well. Just enjoying other things. But good to know that this stuff still works. Can still potentially do this, given the time and desire to. Always reassuring. Just like those satisfying dings. Made it. Didn't think I was going to. Music's gonna loop pretty soon as well. That might be the, that'll be what we time it at, the music, when it loops. End it. You'd think after 3 months I'd have more to say, but alas, such is life. Of course, been plenty busy with other things as well, outside of gaming and streaming and music and nerd things and all that. So, that's where the real bulk of my time has gone. And the main reason that we graduated as well, so more time for other things. Still time for fun, of course, but not as much. So it's nice to be a little more targeted with the fun times that I do have. And again, just nice sometimes to, you know, come home, not have to set up a stream and, you know, prep talking points and all that. I said before, and I stand by it, that streamers who actually put the effort into this, I absolutely respect. Not the ones who are just like react streamers of like, I'm gonna chat over a video or whatever, like to watch me react to other people doing interesting things. Like, no, that's not. Have more respect for yourself to not watch that stuff. But ones who, you know, actually develop, you know, interesting ideas and have topics and can keep it going for hours and hours and hours and all that. Like, this is a lot more work than I thought it would be. And I'm very glad to have experienced it and got a new appreciation for that. For every stream that was done, there was time put in elsewhere in terms of, you know, prepping the game and making sure things work and, you know, making the thumbnails and learning about the game so I could talk about it as I go, and having topics prepared to talk about, just chatting like this as well. Obviously didn't do such a good job of that this time, but and again, even as someone who has some experience in doing things like that, we'll just say, as a musician, you know, you're prepared to go on stage. You still have to take time. There's still prep time that never goes away. So consider that for every stream you watch, there's more that goes on behind the scenes, even for seemingly lazy streams like this. And certainly for more developed ones. You can absolutely just hit go live and put something out there, but It's not quite the same, and even if your viewers don't notice, you will. And if you have respect for your craft, that will bother you. Because it's a craft, it's a performance art, just like anything else. Maybe not as, certainly not as intense as, you know, getting up on a real stage or anything, but there's no reason that the dedication and preparedness shouldn't be there. You know? Something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Even if it's done lazily and for fun. Even for small audiences or no audiences at all. If nothing else, it was worth it just to learn all the skills and appreciate this. Of course, these are skills that transfer, not just the technical ones of being able to set up and do streams. That's obviously I know a whole lot more about production and OBS and all that. But public speaking is a skill. This is a way to train public speaking. It's something you have to practice and get familiar with. This is a clever way to do that, isn't it? Plus, of course, the model making and Photoshop work for the vtuber model and then the thumbnails and all that. Again, they're deliberately lazy and goofy, but I know how to do the good and fancy ones if I want to. That's just an issue of time, but those are all still skills that I learned and prepared for this. Some I had, but others had to cultivate and grow. Just things to think about if you're thinking about streaming. It is not just hit and go live. And I know there's plenty of the streamers that do, you know, much more in-depth theming and have conversation topics and guests and everything else. And go for hours and hours and hours. Pretty cool. Even with all we've done, it's still only 50%. But yeah, I mean, I miss this a little bit. There has certainly been times in the past couple months now that I've been playing something and been like, oh, this would have been a very good stream, or like, oh, I could have talked about X, Y, and Z to add more context to this. And sometimes instead I'll just tell the band about it. It's like, oh, I played this and here's why it was relevant and impactful and blah blah blah, or like, here's the history of this, and I'm hoping that they get a kick out of that. Just like I get a kick out of doing it. I think it's interesting to see how things interconnect and are made and everything else. I think that's fascinating. And not even to tinker, just to understand. I think tinkering would be a whole nother level then, of like making games and all that. Or making content even. I guess that's a level of tinkering in and of itself. But it's neat. It certainly elevated how I enjoy both, or how I understand and appreciate both gaming and streaming. Now that I've seen both sides of both. There's a lot that goes into how things are made and just the world around you in general. It can be cool to try to understand that. It opens up a whole lot of new things. Crisis averted, Gromit. Spanner located behind left ear. Who'd have thought it? That was it? That was... okay. Guess Wallace is running out of steam too. That was barely anything. Be the shortest message we've ever got in this. I was expecting Gromit at least to have a kind of snarky face emoji response. Snooze-a-tron alarm clock. Check something. Okay. Yeah, just a couple more minutes of music, so we'll see how much further we can get in this. Haven't seen any cheese yet, which is interesting. Apparently we cleaned some, but in terms of just like seeing a nice Wensleydale, none. Bit of a shame, really. Come on. Banana. There we go. What even happened here? We can even turn on the wool spinner. Nice. Oop. We can even get stuck on the wool spinner. Even better. Close shave button. Very clever. Several moose heads. I don't remember those being a thing. Yet at the same time, it fits. You know? It just works. Trying to think what else. There was some other topic that I wanted to cover. I had prepared, and oof, bit rusty at this. Amazing how fast you lose skills. Terrifying, I should say. Jump. So we inch closer to the end here. But yeah, good old Powerwash. It's a comfy, low-stress game to have a stream back with. Like I said, we have some other stuff prepared that might do as streams if I have the time, but if not, I might just do, in however many months when there's another update of this, another stream of this with just more kind of chatting over it as an update to what we've been up to. So I think this works well for it. So no promises, but might be more games, might just be more of this. Or maybe nothing at all, who knows? Doing nothing is always a possibility. Even this, we pushed this back a couple days. This came out on Monday or Tuesday. Although I always like to push these back a little bit. Just because they pretty much always have hotfixes for various things. I want to say it was what the Tomb Raider one was like completely broken when it came out. Like it would brick your saves if you played it. So. Easy enough to wait a little bit and let them find and iron out the kinks. $74% there, not too bad. Just what's left is gonna take forever. I should have played a level off stream and then done what I usually do for these. I wasn't sure what these would be though, how long they would be. This was one I was not expecting to be like this. I mean, I wasn't expecting this DLC at all, and wasn't sure what to expect in it, I should say. Might be the better way to describe that. Jump. Jump. Okay. This is what I'm gonna have to get at from a weird angle, aren't I? Yep. Oh no. Come on. Nope. Well, we tried. And back to the beginning, so. Fortuitous timing. So we will end it there, I think. For a stream in several months. If you enjoyed seeing some of the Wallace and Gromit stuff, hearing what we've been up to. Like I said, no promises on more of these for the future, but there's potential. At least we know stuff works. So, at least hopefully I did. We'll watch this back later and perhaps be disappointed. Who knows? But anyway, whether you were here live or you watch this VOD later on down the road, hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, as always, have a good one.